What's going on, guys? And with the new addition to being able to upgrade your gear, and not gear, your outfits in game now with hell raids, I want to bring you guys a small and hopefully very fast tutorial on what teams to use and kind of the basic strategy to it. It's not difficult, and I'm going to start here with the red demon and what teams I brought. Now on the left side I do have pre-recorded gameplay of me running it. In the gameplay is going to be Troco, and then for red is going to be Troco, and for Crimson will be Troco, and for gray is going to be Zephyr. So thank you guys for helping me out with, pre-recording these videos. So that way it's on the left side of the screen here, and on the right I'm going to have the character information and kind of what their kit does. For the most part, most of us probably know what everyone does now in game. But in case you don't, it's going to be on the right. It's also going to be all down in the description below, at least the website, Grand Cross database, the website will be down below, so that way in case you guys ever forget anything or ever have any questions about translations, that's where you'll find everything. But without further ado, one of the first team that I want to talk about is the Hell Red, sorry, I can't speak. Hell Red, and in Hell Raids you can only bring mono teams. And red, obviously, Red Demon is a red typing unit. So you can only bring blue type units, and for that reason you need a full blue mono team. Now the first character I'm going to say to bring is King, because you can still petrify him in hell, and that's where he comes in handy. You can stop him from attacking, you can stop him from doing anything to you, and on top of that, King also heals and cleanses, which is very, very helpful. Now it is a little bit more difficult because in order to actually petrify him, you obviously need to get to rank 2, and in rank 2 without go through is a tad bit RNG, and by a tad bit I mean a very RNG. So within the first, what I would say to do is save your petrification for the first stage. Try not to petrify him. He doesn't hit as hard there anyway, so you don't really need this till at least stage 2, stage 3 for sure. But try and save these as much as you can, just because for the first stage he doesn't hit very hard, and that's why King would be the one that you want to bring. And since he's a coin shop unit, you can actually get his SA up for free. Not free, but you guys know what I mean. You can get it up to where he is 6 out of 6, and he will be doing massive damage to the Red Demon. Now the second character I recommend bringing is Gallon. Troco actually brings him in the video here, and you can see why. You'll see why within the pre-recorded video as how much damage he does. So he has Amplify, just like the new Escanor does. He has Amplify, and thanks to Amplify, the more buffs he has, the more damage his attack will do. Now some of you are probably like, Shattered, where's he gonna get buffs? There's no one on this team that buffs from what I've seen. There's no blue units that give buff. That's where you're wrong. The one other unit that if you're gonna be running Gallon, you want to also run Elizabeth Hawk, because she has hardening, and when the Red Demon debuffs you and you use hardening on it, that's gonna give him an extra buff on top of it. On top of, if you ult with Gallon, it gives him, his base stats go up, so he automatically gets 4 buffs on top of hardening with Elizabeth, and then using at least a level 2, level 3, which again you'll see in the pre-recorded video, he will be doing massive damage to this Red Demon, and he is probably one of the best units you could bring to Hell Raid. He is fantastic for the Hell Raid. It's insane. So if you guys are going to be running this, make sure you are running Ellie Hawk with him. Now that is one team you can have right there, and then you can also have Meliodas. I know, wild, right? You can have the blue demon Meliodas, because you can run him alongside Lilia, which allows you to go through his defense. Thanks to penetration, you can go through his defense. So even when he does do his stance or his little like buff to where his defense, thanks to these two, you can go through the defense and still do a good chunk of damage to him. Now keep in mind that if your friend that comes with you brings the Meliodas, this Lilia's passive will not affect your friend. He doesn't do the same amount of damage that your doing Meliodas will, because Lilia's passive only affects your team. Keep that in mind. That goes for every other unit as well. The passives only affect your team, not your raid buddies team, just yours. So keep that in mind. Now some units that you could run besides them are actually the blue Bond. Nunchuck Bond is very, very good. This debuff at level 3 actually stays on the Red Demon, so that is actually really good. You can run him. I've ran Hell Hell Red with Nagato, and he actually brought the bond here, which he is fantastic. And another option, and I'd probably say not the best one, is Slater. Slater is obviously really good for red as well. He takes away his stance, so that way if he does make it to where he, he is tankier, you can take away his stance and you can do more damage again back with your Meliodas in case you do bring him. And in the back, which I forgot to actually bring up here, give me a second. In the back, the unit you want in the back is actually Golgius. Golgius will increase the damage of all allies by 15% in a raid. So since he is blue, you can bring him on this team and you will be doing that extra 15% damage in order to get past the Hell Demon. So this is the team that I recommend running for Hell Raid. Hell Red Raid, there we go, I can speak. And in the comments below, let me know if you guys have any other units you could potentially use. But without further ado, I'm actually going to jump into the Gray Demon next. Okay, so for the Gray Demon, what you want to bring, obviously the main unit you want to bring, the essential unit you want to bring is not King, it is Valenti. I know most of you are like, what do you mean Valenti? In the pre-recorded video, you will see Zephyr bring Valenti. Only one of you guys have to bring Valenti, so keep that in mind. Not both of you need Valenti on the team. Valenti will make it to where your team will take absolutely no damage. In the video, you'll see that we are taking no damage from this Gray Demon. We are tanking the Gray Demon pretty goddamn well. I think at one point we have to stall 3 turns to be able to get our upgrades in the video, so that way we can do damage to this Gray Demon, because the Gray Demon is very tanky and very hard to kill. So Valenti is a must bring at least one of you to this grade. Her passive just makes it amazing to where he's not going to do any damage to you, and for the most part her ultimate will be your saving grace because it applies burst. This demon will get a defense buff and an attack buff. In phase 1 he will get an attack buff after the 3rd turn, I believe, and in the 2nd phase the entire time he has a defense buff and thanks to her ultimate having burst, which increases damage to targets with buffs by 2 it will do a massive amount of damage to him, especially if you guys were able to walk away with pulling more than just one of her. Just 1 out of 6 will do, I believe, if I remember correctly, I didn't use mine, we used hers, and I think hers isn't 1 out of 6, but it will do close to around almost 300k damage to him, which is fantastic, especially for a Hell Raid. So I say she is a must bring to a Hell Raid. So make sure you guys are bringing Valenti. Now the second one that is a must is definitely Green King. Green King will be also your DPS. Now the only way you're going to be doing damage to this demon is if you have buffs, and we'll get into that here in a second. But one of the things I recommend doing, if you guys do have to stall out the demon, make sure you guys are moving King cards around so that way you can get his ultimate. If you get his ultimate with his passive, it increases his crit rate chance by 10%. If it is maxed out, it increases by 50%. So you have a 100% chance to be critting the Gray Raid every single time you throw an attack with King. So make sure you guys are moving his cards around, getting his ult gauge, so that way you are critting when you have your buffs. Now, the best part about the Gray Raid is that he is blue, and the 2 buffing units that we take on almost every single raid are green, which is Hellbrum and Gil Thunder. They will buff you a stupid amount. Make sure that when you get them, you try and only increase your attack with rank 2s on both sides, because that will give you that 20%, that will give you that 40%, giving you the 60% you need to do damage to him. If you guys are finding out that you are stalling for too long, throw the rank 1s out and make sure that you guys are doing that damage, but make sure you have both buffs out to do maximum amount of damage, because this Gray Demon is very tanky. I don't know what it is about this Gray Demon, but he is stupid tanky. So make sure you guys are throwing them at the same time as well, so that way they expire at the same time. They both only last 2 turns, so hopefully you guys have it in the back burner already. You guys already have another one ready, and RNG didn't completely screw you over, but that's why they're there. On top of that, Hellbrum also removes all buffs and stances from all enemies, which is absolutely fantastic. So if you can, ult with Hellbrum to get rid of his defense buff in case your Valenti died, or if you want King to do more damage, ult with Hellbrum to get rid of his stance, which is fantastic. Gil Thunder, unfortunately, just shock, so it doesn't really affect the Gray Demon too much, but this is what you want from Gil Thunder. Alright? And then in the back, not in the back actually, In the front, you also want Elizabeth. So one person is running Valenti, the other person is running Elizabeth. She will be the healing unit. Now, do your absolute best to try and get her second rank for healing, because he does cause effect bleeding on the second turn, and it will kill you. It will end your run really fast because the bleed does take a stupid amount of health from you. And another thing, she does remove buffs as well at rank 2 here, so she is actually great to get rid of his defense buff, kind of like Hellbroom's ult, but you need to do damage here, and that's kind of a big problem with Elizabeth. Is I would recommend having attack defense gear on her. I know it sounds strange, but her healing is also affected by her attack. I believe yeah, HP 200% of this unit's attack, so 240% of the unit's attack. So attack defense gear is what I recommend running on Ellie, so that way you guys can actually heal more, and her ultimate will increase the ult gauge by 2. So when you can, make sure you guys are using the ult gauge so that way, or using her ult, so that way you guys are getting that 2% ultimate, and then the king will benefit greatly from that, because now you just got free 2 ult gauge on him and a better chance to crit next time around. Now in the back, the 2 units I recommend using is, I know most of you are gonna be like, oh my god, of course, but Merlin. Merlin will give you that ult gauge by 1, which is fantastic for the king. It's fantastic for the Valenti, because now you're that much closer to being able to do her burst, and you're that much closer to being able to crit every single hit. So Merlin in the back is actually fantastic, and she's also good for the CP, because you guys have to remember, you have to pass 300k CP, so 150 each on each side, in order to be able to go first in these raids. So she will help you with the CP, and if you don't want to run Merlin, you don't have Merlin for some reason yet, you can always run Kayn. He increases the attack related stats of all allies by 10% in a raid. So kind of like Golgius, he will increase your attack, and that's why I recommend running him in the back. And basically, that's what you're going to do here for the Grey Raid. I hope the pre-recorded video on the left side here was able to help you guys out with how we ran it. Now, keep in mind that every single one of these raids will be still determined RNG. It's not always a for sure win, but 90% of the time I end up winning with these teams that I'm telling you right here. So hopefully this is helping, and without further ado, we're going to jump into the last raid, and probably one of the hardest ones. Now, potentially the hardest raid on Hell will be the Crimson raid. Now, obviously the main unit you're going to want is Demon Meliodas, the red one, the coin shop one, because his ignites, the same reason you want him for extreme, hard, and normal, his ignites are what's going to be what saves you. It's a saving grace here. On top of that, his ultimate, the more debuffs the enemy has, you will do ×3 damage to the enemy with his ultimate. So that is one of the main reasons you want him. He will be your main focus of DPS, and I feel like I don't really have to explain why you want Demon Meliodas there. I don't recommend throwing him in the back because you need him to be doing the damage. So don't throw him in the back, keep him in the front. You want him to do as much damage as fast as possible in order to get through this demon. You literally have to just burst him the entire time. Now the second unit, because again, like I said in the beginning of the video, it is a mono red team only. The only buffer for mono red is Arthur. Arthur will help you with the base stats by 20% for 2 turns at rank 2. If you're able to somehow get a rank 3, you're set even better. But for the most part, you want to throw out a rank 2. Now, both of you will be running Arthur, and the reason I recommend running 2 Arthurs is for the sole reason that if one dies, you still have the rank by the other one, because this Crimson hits hard. Make sure you guys are doing this with someone that you can either have good communication with, or even in voice chat with, because if you guys have to be able to say, hey, I'm gonna buff this turn, or hey, I'm gonna buff this turn, or hey, my Arthur's about to die, I'm gonna throw this buff out, so that way we have the buff up still. But that's why I recommend both of you guys run Arthur. It's probably not the smartest move. I'm sure you could probably replace him with someone else, but I feel like it's better to be safe than sorry, because if your Arthur dies on, let's say, phase 2, your buff's about to run out, you guys are not going to be doing damage to him in the 3rd phase, because now there is no Arthur on the field to give you guys that extra 20% to all your base stats. So that is why I recommend running an Arthur. On top of that, he increases the HP related stats of all human races, but to be fair, the only other human on this team is going to be Elizabeth, and she is going to be someone that you run in the back because of her passive, and you get a max of 10% of HP from the damage that you receive the other turn. So that's why I recommend running her in the back. The other unit you can also run in the back is actually Red Jericho. She gives you a 15% attack boost But the reason I recommend Elizabeth is because he does damage. He will hit hard. You want to get your health back ASAP. You really want your health back as soon as possible. But she's a unit I recommend running in the back, not the front, in the back. Or if you guys want and even turn it around, kind of like the Gray Raid, you can run her in the front, have one Arthur in the back, just to kind of keep healing throughout the entire raid. But other than that, I recommend having her in the back, so that way you can get that 10% of their max HP back from the damage that you receive. And now the third unit that you want in the front lines, the best unit in the game, Gowther. I feel like I have no reason to have to explain Gowther. The rank up is what's gonna save your life. If you guys can, if RNG is on your side, you start the raid with 2 level 2 rank ups, you are set. You should be completely set. You'll have level 3 ignites, level 3 infects, blaze burst. I always forget the move's name. I always just say infects. Level 2 rank 3 buffs, so that gives you that 30%, plus you're immune to all debuffs, so that way you can't be stopped from healing. That is the best case scenario. Honestly, the longest I have been able to stall out the Crimson Demon is for 1 turn, and that's the first turn when we always throw cards. That is the only turn that we've been able to stall him out without dying almost immediately afterwards. Or, well, no, 2 times. You can stall him out twice, but that is, even then, that is, you're basically blinking red like you would be playing Kingdom Hearts on the verge of death, and it is terrifying. So, you have to hope that RNG will help you out and help you get a rank 2 Gowther card for either side. What I recommend doing is having 1 Gowther on the left side on one team, and then 1 Gowther on the right side on the other team, because that will make it to where the first turn your Gowthers will receive the same last card that drops. I don't know, that probably doesn't make sense to a lot of you, but for those of you that understand, more power to you, because that's literally the best way I can explain it without having to show you guys on here. Maybe I should have done it, but I didn't. Hopefully on the pre-recorded we might have done it, but I don't know. But that is why you want to run the Gowther. Now some of you are probably like, why not run Escanor with Arthur? He's going to do a lot more damage. But in reality, Meliodas thinks his ignites and the fact that you can keep doing damage will be doing more damage than the Escanor will, because Escanor's buffs will run out at some point here, especially that HP after 3 turns. Unless you're beating him in 3 turns, this buff is going to go away and he won't be doing as much damage as he was doing in the first phase. And where you want the damage to be consistent is with Demon Meliodas. So that's why I recommend running Demon Meliodas over Escanor. I don't think Escanor would be as useful in this. Plus, Demon Meliodas also has that boosted rates. He is the strong character for this raid, and that's why you want to be running Demon Meliodas instead of Escanor. I do not recommend running Escanor for this raid, as much as some of you are probably like, Escanor's the best. Demon Meliodas would be the one that will get you through the Hell raid, and that's why I recommend doing that. But other than that, guys, that is the small, hopefully not too long tutorial on what teams to use for Hell raids. I hope this helped you guys out. Go out there, try and beat it with these teams. If you guys have other teams that potentially are better than the ones I mentioned here, let me know in the comments section below. I love feedback. I love to know what you guys use, and maybe it can even help me out to help you guys out later on in the future. That's how, I feel like that's how this works, right? That's how contract works. I take some, you take some, and that makes sense? No, maybe. But in that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, hit that like button. Let me know you guys are enjoying the content here on the channel. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe button down below. Coming out with this here 3 to 4 times a week. I'm doing my best to do daily, and so far, I'm a week and 2 days in, and I've uploaded daily. Let's go. I'm happy with that. But other than that, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Bye, guys.
パーフェクトキューブ。私の実験に貢献したくないか？暴食の罪、ボアシン・マーリンだ。よろしく頼む。ロケーション、研究の標本がまた増えたな。最初からお前らに勝ち目などなかった。